Okay, hello everyone watching this video. Thanks for joining Python series, and this is our episode 2. Uh, your instructor today, I'm your instructor for today. My name is Simon, and yeah, that is my profile. My name is Simon. That is my contact, my email, and Twitter handle in case you need to reach out to me. And our script for this video, we are going to cover something new in addition to what we covered last Wednesday during our session. So today we shall be covering comments in Python. We shall do some recap on data types, and then we shall do a recap on arithmetic operators and variables. We covered these 3 items last Wednesday, but according to some people I interacted with, I found out that you people needed more facilitation in these 3 items. So I'll do a quick recap on these 3. Then we shall handle errors in Python. And finally, we shall go with some take home for you to make your hands dirty. So let's get started. So what are comments? Comments in Python. So every programming language has what we call comments. So we're going to learn how we comment in Python. So what are comments? Comments in Python are non-executable lines in the code that provide explanations or notes to make the code more understandable. So what do we mean by that? Let me dive to my VS Code here. So I have a dummy code here printing hello world. You can see the output down here. It is printing hello world. So what we mean by comments are those lines of code that are not printed out. The use of comments is simply to give explanation to what you're doing in your code. That is all, just giving explanation of what your code does, what you're trying to do, as simple as that. But the compiler ignores them when it is compiling. And when you print out something like this and you have comments in your code, they won't be able to appear. So they help other developers or your future self to quickly understand the logic or purpose of the code. Okay. So we have what we call single line comments and multi-line comments. If you want to use single line comments, this is a comment which is just in a single line. You have a statement which you want to use to explain your code in one line. To do that, we use a hash symbol. We are going to do that in the next few seconds. And then multi-line comments, that is when we use triple quotes. Okay, let's do this practically before we move on. So let's say I want to add some comments here. What I'll do, let me push this to the next line. And then I add my hash. Okay, I add my hash. Then I want to write some notes here. Maybe to make me remember in future when I visit this code again, or to make someone else who is going to view this code to try to understand what I was trying to do. So let me add some few comments here or notes. So this is a code printing hello world. That is just a comment that I would like to put there. And you can see that it is in green. When I save and run this again, you can see the output here. It is having hello world. It is not printing out this. So the comments are ignored by the compiler. The compiler does not print out comments. I can even add more comments here and say, let's say I'm going to look at data types. So that is another comment. It is like I'm putting a heading here. but I'm using a comments to apply that heading because that's what we're going to cover next, data types. So that is simply how we apply comments in Python. So let's say you have many lines of code and you want to apply comments to those many lines. Let's say I have another something else here. I'm printing something else here. I love Python. And then something else. Let me just copy this and paste it. Okay, I love Python. I love Python. Then I save. When I run this, you can see I love Python. I love Python. It has not printed out these data types in Python. So let's say you see here we have I love Python, then hello world. These three statements which I'm printing. So let's say I want to print out only hello world and ignore these two. So what I will do, I'll highlight them out like this. You just highlight them, then you press Control slash. That is the shortcut for applying comments. So these two lines have been commented out and the compiler won't print them out when I run my code next time. So when I save and then I run, you can see I'm having hello world only. So you can try this out on your machine and you try to see how it looks. Then to remove this comment, still I highlight up to where I want to remove the comments. Then I press Control slash and the comments are, I have uncommented my code. I save and run. You see now I'm having I love Python here. Okay. Okay, moving on. Those are comments in Python. So moving on, I'm going to do a quick recap on arithmetic operators. Okay, arithmetic operators are these operators which in math, we have different operators which we use to operate on numbers. Let's say I want to add, I want to subtract, I want to multiply, divide, and so on and so forth. So even in programming, we have what we call arithmetic operators, and they are more so the same like we do in mathematics. So if, let's say I want to add this first one, if I want to add two numbers like 5 and 3, I will use this plus. This is the addition operator. Okay, let's first practice that. So here I'm having, okay. Okay, we're handling operators. Let me change this heading here. Let me first delete this. Then I put here my heading of arithmetic operators in Python. Arithmetic operators in Python. So we are beginning with addition. Addition. Let me put some comment here. Addition operator. So how does the addition operator work? The other time we looked at variables, so I'll be using them in this video. Let's say I have a variable with a value 20. Okay, let's use the one in my slides, 5 and 3. So variable 1, let it be equal to 5. Variable 2, which is y, I can call it y or anything, let it be equal to 3. So I want to add these two. Okay, to add these two, I will create a variable and call it sum, or I can call it z or anything. Then I say sum equals to x plus y. So I've done an addition. This is my addition operation now. I've added x to y and stored the result in a variable called sum. So on the next line, I can print sum. I can print sum. When I save that and I run it, I hope you can see 8 here. So that is how we do addition. That's how we do addition in Python. Okay, let me do subtraction. Subtraction, still it is the same way. I've already declared x and y. Let me just declare a variable and call it difference. Diff equals to x minus y. Enter. Sorry, there's some, this is equals, okay. So when I print diff, save and run, you are seeing it is having 2 here. It is printing out these two things, 8, where I added up here, and then 2 for this subtraction here. Then multiplication. Still, I'll say, how do you call the answer got after multiplying? The product. We can call my variable product equals to x times y. Then I print product, save and run. You're seeing 15 here. So those are simple arithmetic operations. I've done addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Now let's do some division. Division. Okay, division, we use this slash. Is this what we call forward slash? You will confirm. So we use this slash to divide. So when you use this, it will return a float. Let's say you're dividing 5 divided by 2. It will return for you 2.5 as the answer. So these two are integers. I think we're having data types later on. I'll explain more about data types, but we said that if you have a number which does not have a decimal point, that is an integer. If a number has a decimal point like this 2.5, it is called a float. So we are dividing two integers here and we are getting the result as a float. That happens when we use this slash. Let's try it here and we see. So we already declared our variables x and y. Let's just call this z equals to 5 divided by 3. Then I print out z, save and run. Yeah, you're seeing we're getting a float 1.666667. That is a float because it is having decimal places. So that is whenever you divide with one slash like this, you always get a float, even if you're dividing two integers. Okay, where is the other part? Okay, I didn't include it here in my slides, but if you want to divide two integers and you get your answer when it is still an integer, we use double slash. So if I say, let me call this variable m equals to 5 divided by 3. This time I'm using 2 slash a. Okay, when I say print m, save and print, you're seeing now I'm getting only 1. I hope you guys are seeing this result here. I'm getting here 1. So that is what we do. If you want to get, what you should know is that it does not round off, because when you round off 1.67, you would get something like 2. But here we don't round off. It just gives the most absolute whole number which is available without rounding off. So that is that with division. Okay. The other operations I'm not seeing here. Okay, they are here. Okay, when you divide 5//2, the result is 2 instead of 2.5. Then another arithmetic operator is modulus. Modulus returns the remainder when the first value is divided by the second value. So let's try out that. So when you divide 5 divided by 3, in our usual math, you would get 1 remainder 2. 5 divided by 3. You would get 1 remainder 2. So we want to get that remainder in programming, and that's where we use the modulus operator. So I'm going to still use our variables x and y and say, okay, let me call it remainder, rem equals to x percentage y. Can call it percentage, but it is called modulus x modulus y. Now, I print out rem is running. Okay, you're seeing these two down here. Let me comment out most of these things so that we keep having what we want to print only. So let me comment out these things which you have already seen. Control/, okay. Now, the next time I print, it will print out only the remainder. It won't print out these things, hello world, 8, and so on. So when I save and run, okay, error, there's an error somewhere. What is the error? Oh, okay. So we are going to look at errors later on. The error it is throwing here is it is not seeing these variables x and y because I've commented them out. So let me uncomment them. I'll explain this later on when we look at comments. So I save and run again. Yeah, you're seeing the 2 here now. 2 is the remainder when you divide 5 by 3. So that is the modulus operator. Then exponential operator, we use these two asterisks. Let's try it here. Let's say in our usual math, we know that 3 squared is 9. 3 squared is 9. So how do we represent that here? What we do, let me create some quick variables here. M equals to 3. Okay, now I want to get 3 squared, 3 squared. So how do I achieve that? I can call it, let me call it that, and it will be equals to M. So that is how we represent M squared. And when we print out, we should be able to get 9. Yeah, our 9 is there. So that is how we do exponential operations in Python. We use 2 asterisks. When we use 1, we are multiplying. When we use 2, we are doing square or squaring in our usual language. So this is M squared. Okay. So that is it with operators. There are more operators, but we shall be looking at them later on. I don't want to overwhelm you for now. So let's look at data types in a nutshell. And there are also many, but we shall look at a few of them for now. So integers, we said integers represent whole numbers. They can be positive or negatives. Whole numbers meaning they should not have decimals. Like you see in here, 5, -10, 0, all these are integers. So the reason for having data types in Python is to enable us to store our data in different forms. Let's say you want to store your marks and they don't have all your years, your age, and your age maybe you're 20 and you just want to store 20. So 20 is an integer. So we will use an integer to store your age. So that is it with integer. And then float, we use float data type to store values which have integers. Sorry, which have decimal places or fractional part. Like 3.14, this is a float. 0.5 is a float. 2.0, -3, anything which is having a decimal is called a float. So let's say you want to store your CGPA. CGPA is normally a float because it's something like 4.5, 4.4, 3.5. So to store such values, we use floats in programming. And then string is used for storing a sequence of characters. A character means a single letter like this H is a character. E is a character. So when it is a single letter, we call it a character. Then when we combine characters together, like we are combining these characters to form the word hello, this is now a string. We are combining these characters SIMON to form Simon. So this is now a string. So a string represents a sequence of characters or a combination of characters enclosed in single or double quotes. So you're seeing here, hello is enclosed in double quotes, then Simon is enclosed in single quotes. So that's how we represent strings. You can either choose to use double quotes or you can choose to use single quotes. So let's print. Let me comment out this. I'm done working with it. I don't want to print it anymore. So let's try to print something here. Print Simon. So you're seeing here, I've used double quotes. Then on the next line, so what I'm printing here, this is a string, Simon, enclosed in double quotes. Then on the next line, I will print. Now I'm going to use single quotes, and here I print Peter. When I save and run, you're seeing it is printing both of these. So it is your choice. You can choose to use double quotes or single quotes. They are both fine. So those are strings. So in case you want to store a text message or anything which is in words, you have to use strings or str. Then Boolean represents two possible values, true or false. We looked at it last time. We can say, we can call a variable m equals to true. And what you should know is this T is capitalized. You have to use, if you don't use capitalized T, it is wrong. Then even for false, F is capitalized, capital F. So note that if you don't use capital F and capital T here, it will give you an error. That is the syntax, or that is how we represent Booleans in Python. So when I print here, when I print M, it should be able to print for me true. Yeah, it is printing it here. So that is Boolean data type. It has only two values, true or false. We shall keep exploring it more as we move forward. Okay, any other data type we've not covered? Okay, list. A list is an ordered collection of items which can be of different data types enclosed in square brackets. So we shall look at lists in details in our subsequent sessions. Let me first comment out this. But if you want to create a list, maybe you want to create a list of your class, you want to create a list of your classmates. You can say classmates equals to, okay, because they are names, so they should be strings. So here, the first name can be Simon, then comma, who else? I can have here Ivan, then I can have here, who can have Dennis, and so on and so forth. So when I save this, okay, sorry, lists are represented using these square brackets. Yeah, like that. Yeah, so that's how we represent a list. So this is a list of my classmates. When I save this, let me print it first. Classmates. Save and run it. You're seeing it is printing my classmates here. So this is a list of my classmates. Okay, so we shall look at lists in details, but in a nutshell, that's just what it means. There are other data types like sets, dictionaries, tuples. We shall cover them later on, not now. Okay, we are done with this. Okay, so we looked at variables last time and we looked at naming conventions accepted in Python or programming in general. So variable names, when you're declaring a variable, you should use letters, numbers, and underscore. Those are the acceptable symbols when we are creating variable names. And then we said variable names are case sensitive. For example, okay, then you should start a variable name with a letter or underscore, not a number. Then we also said it is a good practice to use descriptive names that make your code easier to understand. For example, if you're having age, don't call age something weird that even you yourself, you won't be able to remember that here you were declaring a variable to store your age. First name, total score, and so on. So always endeavor to use descriptive variable names when you are declaring them. Okay, so that is a recap on variables. I want that to introduce us to errors. So errors in programming are issues or mistakes in the code that prevent it from running. You saw me running into an error earlier on. So that is what we call, when you have a mistake or anything not right in your code, we call it an error or bug. Okay. So debugging is the process of identifying, analyzing, and resolving errors or bugs in a computer program to ensure it runs as expected. So when you identify an error in your code and you analyze it and correct it, that is what we call debugging, looking for errors and correcting them, as simple as that. So let me create a new program, a new file. This one is becoming funny. So I've created a new file. Let me save it before I do something else. Control S. I'm going to store it on the desktop and I'll call it file2.py. Enter. So I have saved it. So we want to explore how errors happen. The other time I told you when you're writing your codes, uh, you should pay attention to the way how you indent your work. We said when you're writing Python codes, you should not leave some space here before you start writing your codes. You should always begin from the extreme end. So if I write here print hello world. I hope you're seeing these red lines here drawn. They show that there is an error. And even if I force it to run, still it will display those errors. Okay, let's wait. Okay, I hope you're seeing unexpected indent, this indent here. So the compiler is reporting it is not happy with what I've done here. I've indented in a way that violates the syntax of Python. So the moment I remove that space, you're seeing the error has gone away. And now when I run this, again, you're seeing now it is printing hello world. So those are what we call errors. No, so I created that error and I've debugged it, I've removed it. So that is what we call debugging. So next up, types of errors. We have syntax errors. These ones occur when the code violates the rules of the programming language. For example, what I have just done there, I was violating the rules of Python. Syntax means the rules which govern how we write codes in a certain programming language. So the rules which govern Python say that when you're writing your lines of code, you should not indent. You should begin from the extreme end. But me, I had put some indenting here. So I'm violating those rules. Those are what we call syntax errors. Okay. Then, okay. Okay. So then we have what we call runtime errors. This happen while the program is running, causing the program to crash. For example, when you divide by 0, you run into an error called a runtime error. In real time, we know that when you divide by 0, it is in your math, it tells you that it is impossible, but here we run into an error called runtime error. So let's say I have variable x equals to 10, and then I want to say y equals to x divide by 0. So I want to show you that error. Then when I come here to print y, save and run, are you seeing division by 0? Zero division error. We run into an error called zero division error as a result of me dividing by 0. So we are not allowed to divide by 0. That is what we call a runtime error. Now, if I remove this 0 and I put 2, save and run again, now you see I'm getting 5.0. The error has gone away. I've debugged my code. Okay. Then we have what we call logical errors. This is when the program runs without crashing but produces incorrect results due to flaws in the logic. For example, using asterisk instead of plus in your calculations. Let's say my aim is to have something like this. M equals to 10, and then N equals to 14. And my aim is to get the sum of these two. Then I say sum equals to M. Then instead of putting plus N, I've put times N. So for you, the compiler, it doesn't know that for you wanted the addition. For it to print for you the answer. It is called sum, although it is going to give something else. Let me first comment out this. When I save and run, the shortcut for run is Ctrl-Alt-N. So you're seeing here, this is 140. That's the answer I'm getting. But for me, I wanted to add 10 plus 14. But instead, I put asterisk instead of plus. That's what called a logical error. You do something, your program produces unexpected results. I expected the sum of these two numbers, 10 and 14, but then I'm getting the product. So that is what we call a logical error. This one is caused by the programmer. You yourself doing some mistakes during code writing. So when I remove that and put my plus, save and run, you're seeing now I'm getting the sum of these two values, which is 24. So that is it with logical errors. Okay, so that is it for today. There is a take home here. You can pause this video and you note this question somewhere and you try them out, and at the end of the day you can take a screenshot, and in your screenshot you can comment your name somewhere so that I can know that this is so and so. So you're going to create a variable to store your name. You create another variable to store your year of birth, create a variable to store your height in meters, and then I'm saying use comments after each line to indicate the data type of the variable. So after each line, for example, when you write your name, a variable storing your name, write a comment there indicating which data type is that you have used to store your name. Same applies to date of birth and your height in meters. Then calculate your age and store the result in a variable called age. Yeah, you should be able to calculate your age. Since you have your year of birth here and you know the current year, I hope you can be able to calculate your age and store your result in a variable called age. Then calculate how old you will be in 5 years and store the result in a variable called age2. So you create another variable called age2 and you perform some calculations there to get how old you will be in 5 years. Okay, then calculate your age multiplied by your height. Store the result in a variable called val. Okay, that one is also simple. Then lastly, print these variables. You should print age2, and print val. So that is your take home for today. Guys, please make sure you do this and you take a screenshot, you post your answer in the group. In case there is somewhere, maybe I have been too fast and you need more explanation, you can ask questions in the group. I will guide you, and there are also other people in the group who will guide you. Okay, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe so that you're always updated whenever we post some materials for you. And also follow us on our X handle, that is at indabascab. Okay, that is it for today, guys. Have a nice time and a nice weekend. I'm out.